classical desert. Endless vistas of emptiness. A desolation of sand, salt flats and sun. 25,000 square miles of cruel and comfortless wasteland. Such is the Sheikhdom of Abu Dhabi, stretching its bleak way from the Arabian empty quarter to the Gulf, abandoned, it would seem, by all the gifts of nature. Only the hardy Bedouin, who take special pride in being master of the desert, could settle here and survive. Of such metal are the Bani Yas tribes from the Liwa oasis. More than 2 centuries ago, in 1761, their ancestors discovered a well on Abu Dhabi Island. And there they built the first huts of what was to become the country's capital. And indeed, until very recent times, the inhabitants of Abu Dhabi town were still living in homes of baked mud or brittle palm leaves. One building alone stood above and apart in its aloof and dilapidated dignity: the palace of the ruler.
The history of buildings in Abu Dhabi goes back to the late 19th century, at the time of the Said I. As one of the largest forts in the country, Al-Jahili was a symbol of power and control, as well as a royal summer residence. Work on the fort began in 1891 under Sheikh Zayed I and was completed in 1891. After the death of Sheikh Zayed bin Khalifa in 1909, his elder son Sheikh Khalifa continued to live in the fort with family. Between year 2007 and 9, Al-Jahili Fort underwent an ambitious rehabilitation project implemented by the Abu Dhabi Department of Culture and Transform. Another historical place is Al Ain Palace. It was one of the Al Ain residences of the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the founding father and the first president of the United Arab Emirates. He lived there with his family until 1966, when he moved to Abu Dhabi as the new ruler of the emirate. The palace provides a glimpse into the life of the ruling family and the culture of the local community before the union in 1971. Al Ain Palace dates back to 1937 and was built in the traditional architectural style of Al Ain. The architecture in these two sites, in Al-Jahili and Al Ain Palace, is characterized by the presence of ventilation openings such as windows and balconies, which are wide and square to cool the buildings and provide shading for the main rooms. The building materials included environmentally friendly materials that are in line with the sustainability principle of the present time. The materials used during that time included mud, bricks, and stones. Most of the palm trees were used in roofing the rooms with palm branches and in the construction of ceilings, doors, and windows. Abu Dhabi Future Company, Masdar, has built the most efficient villa in Abu Dhabi and inaugurated it in 2017 and named it the Eco Villa. The villa is located in Masdar city, and the villa has earned 4 pear rating according to Studama program. It was designed to consume around 75% less energy than a normal villa of the same size. The villa is also equipped with solar PV and designed to be zero net energy. The design of the villa has considered extreme passive measures, achieving insulation value of 0.16 for external walls and 1.5 for external windows. Having this strong passive measures made it possible for this villa to achieve a net zero level while combining them with renewable measures. With its PV systems that could generate 40 megawatt hour per year, the villa can generate enough energy that's equal to its annual energy consumption. So far, we have seen the development or the timeline of the buildings, in particular the villas or the houses of the people lived in Abu Dhabi for the last for more than 100 years, and even the future programs, the strategies, and also the current regulatory instrument or the building codes, including SDBE program. Now we are moving to implement strategies for a case study that was selected, and the aim is to implement those strategies to understand their impact on the energy consumption. The selected case study was a residential villa in Shahama city. Shahama city is a small town located 10 kilometers away from Abu Dhabi International Airport. The climate is generally hot and humid. The villa was modeled in the simulation software ISVE using the architectural layout provided by the villa owner. We see here in this slide the as-built parameters of the villa on the left side, and we see on the right side the monthly electricity bills and also the annual. So the number of floors is 3, the gross floor area is over 1,000. The important parameters here actually the external walls. The villa owner decided to install an installation of 50 mm with expanded polystyrene, and that achieving the U value of 0.53. The glazing, unfortunately, is a single glazing. The window to wear ratio is 0.17. The important figure here is that also the annual energy consumption from the model, it's 212 kilowatt hour per year, and that yielded to an EOI of 174.2, whereas on the monthly bill it shows that the annual consumption, which is the meter value, it's 192 kilowatt hour per year. Before going to implement the strategies and scenarios to improve the consumption of the villa, it's really important to validate the simulation. So according to Alpester, there are many methodologies or standards that really provides the tolerance level acceptable when comparing the simulation with the real figures. So in our case, we have the 10% plus or minus tolerance indicated in the table was used, as we in our case the tolerance percentage was 9.3%. So it's considered that the simulation of this villa is valid. Here we see the different scenarios for the different strategies that are going to be implemented on the case study. As we could see in the as-built of parameter of the villa, we could see that the villa is already insulated with 50 mm extended polystyrene. So the thermal insulation for its external walls, the scenarios have been selected to really change the material to polyurethane with different thickness levels, so that the U value is decreased or improved, while increasing the thickness levels of the same material. The fourth scenario is actually chosen to compare between insulated and non-insulated house, to see how much really putting the minimum insulation could improve the overall energy consumption. The second scenario or the strategy here is glazing, and 4 scenarios were chosen to choose a double because the as-built was a single glazing, and for the double there was air filled and gas filled with the argon gas in particular. And the last 2 scenarios were triple glazing with air and triple glazing with gas, and the same gas, which is argon. So the solar PV scenario were a bit different here. We'll explain it later. It's actually type of module, tilt angle, then the azimuth angle. We see here the thermal insulation simulation results on the ISVE, and it's clearly indicating that increasing or improving the U value is really impacting the saving on the consumption. Actually, the energy use index measure was used to compare between different scenarios because it's more accurate than using the annual energy consumption. As we could see in Masdar villa, it has reduced to 0. So this is a good indicator to show how much really decrease and how much really other parameters or other measures could really help to bring this value lower and lower to reach, if not the 0 energy level, to reach at least the nearly 0 energy level. So in this table, it's really showing how really badly the villa will perform if there is no insulation. So it says that if you implement at least 50 expanded expanded polystyrene insulation, you can achieve 15% saving on the annual energy consumption, and that's really massive. So here we see the glazing simulation result showing the scenarios of the glazing taken into consideration for scenarios, 2 for double and 2 for triple. It's clearly indicating that increasing the number of glass panes, improving the U value, and also it's clearly indicating that the gas is also improving the U value in comparing to air. So the best scenarios or the best scenario for this strategy is really triple glazing with gas filled. For the solar PV strategy, it was done a bit different. So we have fixed parameters and changing parameters. So in the first scenario, fixed parameters were tilt angle and azimuth angle, and the changing parameter was the module type. So it was found that the monocrystalline is really achieving the highest saving. So for the next scenario, the monocrystalline was chosen to be a fixed. Then the azimuth angle was remain as before fixed. So it was found that the best tilt angle to achieve high production and high saving across the year is 23. So then the third scenario, all the result from the previous 2 scenarios were fixed, which are the monocrystalline and the tilt angle of 23. And through many trials and attempts, it was found that the best azimuth angle for this villa in Shahama City is 183, which produced an annual PV of 43 megawatt hour. and that's really yielded to improve the energy use index to almost 139, and that achieve a saving of 20%. The optimal scenario is really the combination of all optimal scenario from each strategy, and we see here the summary that we saw it also before, and it might be seen that the overall figure here is some sort of summation of the best scenario of the best saving figures of each strategy. But it's not. The simulation was done and using all the best scenarios, and this result showing achieving saving of 25.7%. This is in comparison with the as-built parameters of the existing villa. After we are done from the simulation and the finding of the optimal scenario for the three strategies, we come to discuss them and compare them to other studies and resources. So applying installation in principle, according to Rakshan, can improve the energy consumption by 13%, whereas our finding is can improve it by 15%. For the external walls, according to the same researcher, reducing the U value from 0.57 to 0.3 can reduce the energy consumption by 2.5%, whereas in our case we found out is that to be 2.1%. For the glazing, changing with the same researcher, changing single to double glazing can reduce the energy consumption by 5.4%, whereas in our case is 1.5%. However, in the research that we're comparing our result to, the window to wall ratio is a bit higher. It's almost double. It's 0.3, whereas in our case it's 0.17. We believe that there is a link between the wall window to wall ratio and energy consumption because of direct exposure to sunlight and heat. So the more you have windows, the more you need to consume energy. So yeah, for the solar PV part, Shu'a tool was used to compare the result from the model. Shu'a is basically an online simulation tool or a solar calculator developed by the Ministry of Industry and Ministry of Energy and Industry back in 2017. It's quite useful tool. So we have got 37 megawatt hour from the model, and from this Shu'a tool, and from the model we got 36 megawatt hour for the same parameters and the same space area. So with this, I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and the following slides are the references and end of this video and presentation. Thank you very much.